What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet some more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. And as usual, we got some more Reddit posts to check out today, so feel free to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments, and we're getting right into it. A stranger put her hand on my pregnant wife's belly. I remember when my wife was pregnant with our first kid. We were at the grocery store when this random woman in the produce section swoops in like she's Gandalf blessing Frodo's journey. She puts her hand right on my wife's belly, doesn't even ask, and goes, "Oh, when are you due?" Without missing a beat, my wife says, "I'm not. I'm just fat. Thanks for that." And for context, my wife is 5 feet 10 inches tall. This lady's face went white immediately. She froze. She didn't apologize. She didn't say another word. And then she just shuffled away, clutching her cantaloupe like it was a security blanket. Meanwhile, I'm over here by the bananas laughing like an idiot. Because honestly, if you're bold enough to grab a stranger's stomach, you deserve to walk out of that store questioning every life choice you've ever made. Would I be the asshole if I countersue for what I consider an accident for the cake this other woman's daughter wrecked after she ran into me? In the middle of June, I had just picked up a custom chocolate cake from a bakery that cost $65. On my way back to the car, a woman and her 2 kids were coming out of a church across the street where a wedding was taking place. I crossed at a crosswalk about half a block from the church. I saw the mother telling her little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old and dressed in a very nice white dress, to stop jumping around and stay still. The girl didn't listen. She ran off laughing and looking backward instead of paying attention, and ran straight into me. I dropped the cake and it hit the ground on impact. Chocolate went everywhere, on the pavement, on me, and all over the little girl's dress. The mother came running, screaming at me. There were at least 2 people behind me and another woman on the church property who saw it happen. The mother kept yelling that I had ruined her daughter's dress, that I owed her money for a new one, and that I needed to give her cash so she could buy a replacement before the ceremony. I told her it was an accident. Her daughter ran into me and I wasn't paying for it. She kept screaming profanity loud enough that someone called the police. When the officers arrived, she tried to claim I threw the cake on her daughter and should pay for the dress, but another witness confirmed what really happened. The mother had told the girl to stop running. The girl ignored her and she crashed into me, causing the cake to fall. The woman still wouldn't calm down until the police nearly arrested her, and then only after her relatives came out of the church to help. She demanded reimbursement and threatened to sue me. At the time, no one exchanged information, but somehow she found out my name and address. Later, I learned someone had filmed the whole thing and the video got back to me. Sure enough, she served me with papers. She's suing me for $3,000 for a new dress, assault, and emotional distress. Would I be the asshole if I countersued for the cost of the cake her daughter ruined because of her poor parenting? Honestly, I'm not too worried about winning or losing since I have video evidence, and multiple witnesses showing it was an accident and her child caused it. Updating to clarify a few things instead of keep repeating it in the comments. The cake was in a box with a lid, but when it hit the ground it opened and exploded. It was a soft cake with a lot of chocolate icing, so it got all over my pants and the bottom of the little girl's dress. It was enough that it was really noticeable. To clarify, I'm not mad at the little girl. I'm just completely gobsmacked by how her mother handled the situation. She could have taken some accountability, apologized, or even made it a learning opportunity for her child. Something as simple as, "This is why I tell you to stop running and listen, because now your dress is soiled for the wedding." But instead, she threw a fit, accused everyone else of her own poor parenting, and it escalated to the point where the police were called. After embarrassing herself and almost getting arrested, she still managed to act like the victim. She could have just let it go and moved on. For those wondering how she got my name and address, I don't live in a highly populated area. I'm on social media and the video of the incident was sent to me by someone I didn't even know. Someone she knew must have recognized me. Once you have a name, finding an address isn't difficult. She even had a processor serve me. I haven't had any contact with her in any way since the incident. I'm also surprised by how many people believe you need a lawyer to file in small claims court. All I have to pay to countersue is $100. From what I've read, I technically can claim lost wages, but they won't be granted. Realistically, the most I'd get back is my filing fee and the cost of replacing the cake. Some people have also said I should have been able to prevent the accident because I saw them before I crossed the street. That's true, I did see them. But the little girl was on the grass the entire time. At no point did she step onto the sidewalk until the moment of impact. I'm not psychic, and there was no way I could have predicted she would suddenly run off the grass and straight into me. It all happened in literal seconds. Another update. Tomorrow I'm going down to file my counterclaim, as today is a holiday. I spent the better part of a few days researching, and I think I'm going to ask for 1.00 plus my filing fee, and take a page out of celebrities who have been wrongly sued for stuff to prove a point. I don't want to look petty, but I sure want the judge to rip that woman a new one for bringing this frivolous case to court. Thanks, everyone. Don't want to pay rent? Enjoy being the only one on the lease. This happened a few months ago, but my old roommate is just now feeling the fallout. I, 29 male, live in a house with two other guys, 27 male and 30 male. We'd been together for about 4 years with zero issues. Then out of nowhere, one of them stopped paying his share of rent and bills. We later found out it was because of a meth addiction that had spiraled. By the time his debt hit around $2,000, we sat him down and told him he either needed to pay up or move out. His response? Well, you can't actually evict me, so you'll have to cover it unless you want all of us evicted. We looked into our options and found a little-known program in our state for people in unsafe living situations. Basically, if a therapist signs off that you need to move for your safety, your landlord has to let you out of your portion of the lease without penalty. So the other roommate and I did exactly that. There's a 30-day period between giving notice and actually being released, and honestly, those 30 days were glorious. The problem roommate clearly thought he'd cracked some magic solution and acted like he was on top of the world. Then right before day 30, he went away for a long weekend, and we used the chance to move out in record time. When he came back, he blew up our phones, calling us crappy for ditching him, and claiming it was underhanded to leave him with the lease. I don't know if he ended up evicted or if he managed to get out of it himself, but last I heard from a mutual friend, he was homeless and crashing on his mom's couch. A couple of edits/clarifications. The program we used was the Address Confidentiality Program, ACP. In my original post I said therapist, but it was more like a caseworker who reviewed our situation. For those asking what made it unsafe, it wasn't just the unpaid rent. Our roommate's meth use escalated to the point where he stayed up for days, brought sketchy strangers into the house at all hours, and once even waved a gun around during a meth binge, amongst other things. The worker agreed those things qualified as unsafe living conditions. Once I got the ACP card, my good roommate followed the same steps and got his own. We planned the move for a major holiday weekend when we had extra time off work. The fact that the problem roommate was out of town was just the cherry on top, to be honest. If you or someone you know is in an unsafe living environment, look into ACP. It saved us from a bad situation before it got worse. And one more thing. The caseworker told me I should have gone the ACP route long before things got that bad, so don't wait until it's extreme. And for closure, I checked the local court database and sure enough, he was formally evicted after we left. Neighbor kept treating my driveway like free parking, so I taught him a $300 lesson. I live in a small cul-de-sac, nothing fancy, just your average neighborhood. My driveway fits 2 cars, mine plus my husband's, perfectly fine. For the most part, everyone here minds their own business. Except my neighbor, let's call him Jack. For whatever reason, he thinks my driveway is like extra parking for his family and friends. First time it happened, I thought it was a mistake. His brother's car was in there. He said it'd just be a sec. A week later, it was some friends of his dropping something off. I didn't love it, but I figured whatever, not worth making it awkward. But it kept happening. I'd come home from work. I'm a nurse, so some days I'm wiped out, and there's a random car blocking me. One night I literally had to park halfway down the street and carry 5 bags of groceries because his buddy's truck was in my spot. Every time I said something, he'd do that half smile and go, "Oh yeah, sorry, they'll be gone soon," like I'm the one being difficult. The final straw. I get home late Friday night after a 12-hour shift. Still in scrubs, starving, with takeout that's already getting cold in the passenger seat. And boom, giant white SUV parked dead center in my driveway. Not even off to the side, like full-on blocking me from even pulling in. I knock, no answer. I call Jack. He finally picks up and super casual goes, "Oh yeah, that's my in-laws. They'll only be there a couple hours. Just park on the street, it's not a big deal. That was it for me. I called a tow truck. And yes, I checked before. Where I live, if someone blocks your private driveway, you're allowed to tow immediately. Tow guy showed up in 20 minutes. SUV was gone before I even finished half my fries. About an hour later, furious pounding on my door. Jack's beet red, his in-laws are yelling in the background, and he's going off about how I didn't have to take it that far. I just said, "You told me it wasn't a big deal," so I treated it like it wasn't a big deal. Then I closed the door. They had to pay almost $300 to get their car back. And funny enough, ever since then my driveway has stayed crystal clear. Not even for just a sec. Loud music at 2 a.m., I found the perfect way to shut her up. When I was in college, I had this neighbor in the dorms named Sarah. Sarah wasn't evil, just loud. Every night she'd blast music at 1 or 2 a.m., usually when I had an early class. No matter how many times people asked her to turn it down, she'd laugh it off and say, "Relax, it's college." One night before a big exam, I was desperate for sleep. I knocked on her door around midnight and asked politely if she could lower the volume just a little. She smirked, said sure, and then cranked it even louder. I laid in bed staring at the ceiling, absolutely fuming. The next morning after my exam, I decided I wasn't going to let it slide. Sarah was notorious for sleeping in late, usually until noon, and she hated mornings more than anything. So for the next week, I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. sharp, right when the hall was dead quiet, and placed my Bluetooth speaker against the thin wall we shared. I blasted the cheesiest pop songs I could find. Think bubblegum boy bands from the early 2000s. The first day, she stumbled out of her room, groggy and furious. By day 3, she started begging me to stop. I just smiled and said, "Relax, it's college." Funny enough, after that week, her late-night concerts mysteriously stopped. She never admitted defeat, but the silence was golden. Anyway, that's going to be all for today, guys. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. Be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Reddit content like this. Take care, friends, and I'll see you next time.